Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to humbly acknowledge the land which you live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory, traditional lands of the Korean Dene, and unceded territory of the Métis people. And for the record, on teams we have Councillor McGrath, Councillor Ball, Councillor Grannison, Councillor Dogar, Councillor Lavallee, as well as Councillor Cardinal. If anyone in attendance wishes to address public on any of the agenda items, please register to the Legislative Services desk to our right. And for a reminder, you have 5 minutes to present and just remain seated for questions afterwards. For the adopted agenda, does anyone wish to serve a notice of motion?
Through the chair, item. Let me see which item is it. Sorry, I'm a bit slow here. Item 8.1. We feel there may be a little bit more work to be done on that, and it'd be good if we could remove that from the agenda and bring it back at a later date.
Okay, thanks, CEO. Are there any other amendments to the agenda this evening? Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to add the Wood Buffalo Economic Development chair appointment. So I move that the agenda be amended by adding the agenda item Wood Buffalo Economic Development Corporation board chair appointment as the last item of business and waiving any requirement to serve notice relative to the proposed addition.
Okay, we can do that one first. Can I have someone second that motion? And I'll call for a vote.
In favor.
Councillor Boussier?
Yeah, Mayor Bowman, I have a question about this amendment. I don't know if we should just pass the agenda and then ask after or before.
The amended, just the Buffalo Economic Development one?
Yeah.
It's going to be on the...
Okay, I'll speak to it then.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. Councillor Cardinal? Okay. And that's carried 11, all in favor. And the second item?
One question.
Go ahead, Councillor Ball.
Did we amend 8.1 or just?
No, we're doing that
8.2?
one right now. If someone can read that amendment.
Okay, fair enough.
If someone can move that.
I can do that.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Ball.
I move that the agenda be amended by removing item 8.1, elected officials compensation, travel and expenses policy, and I can't read it now, the screen popped up. And renumbering the agenda accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. So I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
In favor.
Councillor Dogar? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Can I have someone make the amendment to adopt the agenda as amended? Councillor Weigel?
I move that the agenda be adopted as amended.
Thank you. And thanks for a second, Councillor Boussier. I call for a vote.
In favor.
That's carried unanimously. Moving on to consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Can I have someone make that motion? Councillor Walkwin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the recommendations contained in items 6.1 and 6.2 be approved.
Thank you. Thanks for the second, Councillor Bajoko. I'll call for a vote. In favor online?
In favor.
Councillor Dogar, you have your camera off. That's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Moving on to presentations, we have the first presentation, a presentation on the closure of Keanu Arts Center and the future of performing arts in Will Buffalo. I'd like to invite Hannah Freeland and Jenny Price up to present.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Bowman and members of council. Thank you for allowing us to speak with you tonight. My name is Hannah Friedhead, and I'm here as the Artistic Director of nonprofit theater company Swamp Rat Experience, as an advocate for the arts, and a proud member of the vibrant artistic community that calls Wood Buffalo home.
My name is Jenny Price. I am the Assistant Manager at the Suncor Energy Center for the Performing Arts, a lifelong resident of Wood Buffalo and a passionate local artist.
We are here tonight to express our deep concern over the imminent loss of specialized performing arts facilities in Wood Buffalo and to ask for your support in mitigating that loss. Our community currently has no dedicated performing arts centers outside of educational institutions. For over 40 years, the RMWB performing arts community has relied heavily on Keanu College's support and the continued operations of Keanu Theater and Arts Center. We are now facing the imminent loss of the only facility of its kind and capacity in our region.
In recent years, Keanu College has made programming decisions that have severely impacted this vibrant arts center. A year ago, several facilities in the Arts Center were repurposed, leading to the loss of the recital theater, dance tank, printmaking studio, visual arts studio, costume shop, office spaces, and small music studios. Now the remainder of the spaces that support the theater, including purpose-built rehearsal studios, secure costume and prop storage, technical shops, and office spaces, are set to be repurposed this spring.
Not only is the community losing crucial spaces, but we're also facing the loss of nearly 40 years of carefully curated costumes, sets, props, and essential equipment for theater creation and performing arts creation. Keanu Theater and Arts Center has been home to and partnered with many nonprofit organizations in our community over the years. It has hosted countless school Christmas concerts, plays, festivals, recitals, dance shows, workshops, and much more.
Many residents have built a strong community within these spaces. Each year, more than 100 community volunteers contribute both on and off stage, while thousands fill the audience. Losing this facility means losing a space that has positively impacted countless residents.
We also risk losing our trained technical professionals, people whose knowledge and expertise sustain the performing arts in our region. As well, without post-secondary arts education in our area, community productions are the only accessible resource for the majority of our population to engage with theater as artists.
The uniqueness of what our community is about to lose cannot be overstated. The Suncor Energy Center for the Performing Arts is the second largest arts facility in our community after Keanu Theater and Arts Center. While we take great pride in our facility, we do not have the capacity to absorb Keanu Theater's clientele or replace the critical resources it provides.
The RMWB's culture plan has already identified the need for further development of cultural facilities and resources. A municipality of our size should have reliable access to purpose-built performing arts spaces that meet the needs of our population. Even before these reductions at Keanu Theater, we were facing a shortage of such spaces. The situation is about to become significantly worse.
The RMWB Culture Plan is not the only document that has identified this issue. The Arts Council Wood Buffalo Arts Recovery Plan, Wood Buffalo Artists' Key Findings, the Wood Buffalo Social Sustainability Plan, and other studies have all acknowledged the need for accessible art spaces. To make matters worse, these studies were conducted with the assumption that we would continue to have access to Keanu Theater and Arts Center in its entirety.
The recently released Municipal Development Plan speaks about the importance of the arts and cultural infrastructure in retaining residents, in engaging the community, and providing a space where people want to move to. to make this a home. We are here today to advocate for the establishing of a dedicated community performing arts center, one that exists independently of educational institutions. We urge Council to treat this matter with the urgency it requires and commit to finding solutions that will preserve and expand performing arts infrastructure in our community. Investing in purpose-built performing arts facilities is an investment in culture, community, and quality of life for the residents of Wood Buffalo. We're about to receive a message from some of the cast of The Wizard of Oz, who are currently in dress rehearsal right now.
Performing arts are vital to a healthy and vibrant community.
Without performing arts, Wood Buffalo isn't home.
Performing arts connect me to my community.
Community theater matters!
Performing arts.
Wow. You'll see it again. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Jenny. I have a few questions. One is, does the Arts Inc., does that fill any of the gaps? I know we invested quite a bit into that project. How does that fit into all this?
So Arts Inc. is built to and will be a complement to existing infrastructure. It's a creation space more than a performance space, and the performing arts studio that will be in there seats about 35 people, and it's meant as it was created and designed to be a complement to the facilities we already have, but will no longer have.
Okay. I've got to know you quite well over the last few years. My favorite ninja show was Michelangelo until I met you, so thank you for that. We'll definitely, I'll definitely help try to work with you to see what we can come up with working together moving forward. See what we can do for you. Councillor Boussier?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bowman, through the chair to the presenters. The theater is not closing, correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Boussier's, no, the theater itself will remain, as well as dressing rooms, one of the studios, and the set shop.
Okay. So your production, you could still continue to perform in the theater, whatever productions you produce?
So Swampert Experience, we're not part of Keanu Theater and Arts Center.
The problem with what's being lost is that in order to put on productions of the caliber of, like, for example, The Wizard of Oz that's coming up, the theater itself is not used for rehearsal. That would take up the theater for like 2 months at a time. So there is a rehearsal hall space that is basically, it's a giant room of a similar size to the stage. And that is where plays are rehearsed and prepared. There's also a costume shop where hundreds of costume pieces for this show, I'm sure, are being built. Those spaces are being lost. So it's not the theater itself that's being lost, it's the support spaces, the specialized support spaces that don't exist anywhere else.
Okay.
It's a metaphor you can use is that we will still have the very lovely dining table,
but we won't have the kitchen.
Okay, just one other question. Do you know how many cities or towns, I think it was purposely built was the term used, have purposely built community theaters?
So there are quite a few across Canada. A few noteworthy examples are the Arts Commons in Calgary. It's Canada's largest infrastructure project at just over $600 million. They're repositioning this performing arts space as a social enterprise right now. There's also the Flato Markham Theatre, First Ontario Performing Arts Centre in St. Catharines, Esplanade Arts and Heritage Centre, and Citadel Theatre to an extent in Calgary, among many others.
Okay, just would you know how much money was provided to build the asset from the taxpayer, and how much money per year subsidizes the building?
The only one I have some insight to at this time, I'd be happy to find out more, is the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre in St. Catherine, where they had a similar situation where the Performing Arts Centre was inside the local university, and then the local university canceled their performing arts program. So the community went to council and asked for a performing arts center, and it took a lot of committees and quite a few years. But now they have the first Ontario PAC, as it's called, which no longer, it was founded with city money and other grants and supports, but now it's run entirely on presenting grants, fundraising, donation, ticket sales.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Boussier. Councilor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thank you for the presentation. So it would be nice to have a facility that is dedicated to this support. But other than that, is there any other suggestion or anything else you can share with us that can be done at this time?
Councillor Banjoka through the chair. The most effective thing right now was to utilize a space for the performing arts. Swamp Red Experience, for example, we are, like I said, we're a nonprofit theatre community company, and we're currently being housed inside King Street Theatre at Comp High School, which we have not had access to now for a few months because it is attached to an educational institution and we don't have access to it. So having a space that was intended as a performing arts center for creation, workshop, performances, smaller shows, play readings, that is meant for the community, that would be the biggest help right now, making sure that that space exists.
Okay, and there's certainly no way the arts facility that is being done can accommodate the need when it's done, when it's fully completed.
Mm-hmm. So ArtSync will cover a small portion of the performing arts. They'll have that small performing arts theater space. I haven't seen the most recent design, but the Arts Inc. will be an incredibly important piece of arts infrastructure, but it is not meant to cover all arts in that regard. It will have something for all arts disciplines and support the arts as a whole, but it's not meant for large-scale productions. It's not meant to be utilized for theater classes. For example, we run theater clubs several times a week right now in office buildings and back rooms, unfortunately.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, you still have time, like 4 months or thereabout, to seek other options and find a different solution to the challenge, if you have to.
Our understanding is that, not knowing exactly what Keano College's plans are, but if you're, in terms of the loss of, like, for example, storage space for costumes, props, all that stuff, I believe the plan is in the spring. But yes, so we do have
a bit of time,
potentially some time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Bowman.
Thanks, Councilor Majoko. Just a question for administration or maybe the CEO. Do we have a joint use agreement that we could use somewhere to use schools with this?
We have a joint use and planning agreement. It's in place, but not really being used much at the moment. We are in the process of negotiating a new JUPA, as it's called, and we expect to have that completed probably, I think it's June, July. We're mandated by the provincial government to have it completed by then. So that would give access to space within the schools. So.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, through the chair. Nice to see some familiar faces around the horseshoe, and appreciate what you're saying about theater. as you go forward, I guess Keanu is going to refit some of the floor space to take the influx of different people coming from international studies. That was my understanding, and the auditorium would be repurposed as well. So on the hill, we have Holy Trinity, I think is a 350-seater, and Westwood Theater, and the Amphitheater and the Casman Center is on the hill. And I'm just wondering, through the chair, has there any grants come from the province or industry to help you guys out at all?
So one of the challenges, to Councillor McGrath through the chair, one of the challenges with the current art spaces that we have, like for example, the space inside Holy Trinity is the Suncor Energy Centre for the Performing Arts. Because it's attached to an educational facility, we're somewhat limited in the grants that we can access. Whereas if we had a community space, there's many grants that we can access. There's grants through our own municipality, there's the Canadian Heritage Fund, there's grants through the Government of Alberta, there's grants through the Alberta Foundation for the Arts, the Canada Arts Presentation Fund, the Canada Cultural Investment Fund, the Canada Cultural Spaces Fund. There's many grants that we could potentially access if there was a dedicated community space not attached to an educational facility. And that is what we're lacking.
So like the Casman Center, for example, the Amphitheater, I don't recall how many seats that has, but that wouldn't be attached. Would it be like grants that are applicable to run through that facility?
Through to Councillor McGrath, through the chair, the amphitheater at the Casman Center doesn't have a backstage area, unfortunately. It would be a lovely space for presentations and talks, but not for producing theater.
Okay, so if you had an envelope of money tomorrow, what would that place look like? Would it be a new build? Would it be an additional on to, like, you know, a few portables on the back of Holy Trinity, like, because what it seems, if you're attached to the education fund of it, you know, it's non-applicable and you lose a lot of funding. But we also have I think it was back in, I would say since 16, we've been tucking away some money there on our capital budget for these kind of issues. And I think what happened, we started to challenge each other and wanted to build a big theater, and that kind of went off the sideline. Keanu College is funded by the province, and they're running short of space because of the influx of international students. And they have a forecast to bring on another 600 next year. So they're going to use the space. I guess through the chair, what would that place look like? And you're coming and you're bringing a hot button issue. The art is alive in McMurray, always has been. But I think that a lot of our facilities, look at Mac Island down there, does it take covering in a bit of that field to make it work? Like, it seems to me we have lots of infrastructure, but everybody wants to have an independent ship to run on, but we're running out of cash. And I don't know what kind of commitment you have made for the province, but I know the 4 cinemas went to 6 cinemas are with the arts community now. When that's finished, I don't know what it's going to look like. But how could we as council, I guess, what would be the right application or the right attitude to meet with our MLAs and see what we can do in the short term? Because once class is done in the spring, them rentals are going to go ahead. That was going to come sooner or later.
To Councillor McGrath, through the chair, we are not here to stop the Keanu College plans to refurbish the space. I have a very deep personal connection to the space at Keanu Theatre and Arts Centre. It's the reason I became involved in theatre and the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today. But that's not what we're here to bring forward to the council. What we are hoping to achieve tonight is a path forward with a performing arts center or a performing arts space that is not within an educational facility. The absolute dream, as for any theater artist, would be to have a purpose-built space that was specifically created for the performing arts, that has all the infrastructure needed, all the equipment, the purpose-built rooms, mirrors on the walls, special floors, acoustics, all those wonderful things. But we also know that we are running out of time. And we are artists. Artists are problem solvers. If we had if we had a space that was available that we could, over time, being fiscally responsible and building it sustainably, create a performing arts center utilizing facilities that already exist. I think that is a more reasonable approach than trying to build something brand new that might get halted in a couple years or funding runs out. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something long-term that is available to the community where people can come and meet and explore performing arts.
And my question, just so to be clear, ma'am, I certainly respect it. We're part of that new theater, a good part of it. So I wasn't saying that we're trying to rejig Keanu. What I'm asking is, what is the low-hanging fruit that you see in the community that would give you what you need?
To Councillor McGrath through the chair, I think that, you know, focusing on the fact that what we're currently, the current crisis is the loss of things like storage space, workshop space, rehearsal space. You know, to further Hannah's point, we don't necessarily need to start with something brand new. If there was some municipally owned space that existed with some office space, with some storage, with those types of facilities that we could utilize, then we could immediately start solving some of these issues, and even potentially starting to generate some revenue through rental or registrations with programming and that kind of thing, to start to build towards the eventual dream of maybe adding to a space to build a beautiful theater with all of those purpose-built spaces. But yes, the immediate need is space, storage. Yeah.
So my question would be, is there an area where you're familiar with that's available to us today that you need some political will on both levels to help you? Or is there just, there's a want, there's a need, absolutely. Is there a fixture that we have in the community that's available to us? Because I look at least 5 facilities that we have as a community, and I know it's not, you know, is a bit sordid, but you know, 3 are on the north side of the bridge, and the other couple are on the other side. So with some industry help, with some, you know, sponsorship like the old days, you know, maybe a facility that's mobile. I believe that the storage could be is going to have to be like a collaborative effort of who manages our facilities, because now, heaven forbid I say this, but if you went to Anzac at the CNOC Center, you could probably set yourself up there, you know, with space, with a place to do productions, but it's too far away. But we have 2 facilities that are north, or I'm sorry, south, that are really, really underutilized. Then we're building a couple new ones in the north, and they're certainly a part of the community. So I think that there is a way, and, you know, to draw upon your knowledge and experience, that's what we need to do. And the other people that got to be at the table are the people that are actually trying to help us, rebuild the community. And that's industry. As you know, Suncor came along with us for a ride, and that marriage is still going, past almost on the second decade at the Holy Trinity. So we certainly not going to. And I never I just want to be clear. I know nobody here tonight was trying to tell Keanu how to run their business. All I want to take away is how can we help you? And if there's some facility today that I'm missing, because there are some funds, as you say, applications, but they have to be on standalone property. And the closest we got to that are not attached to any education facility would be the Casman Center. And of course, our very own Treasure Island. And we have, almost $1 billion asset on the island, almost $1 billion as a community. And there's no other community in the world could say that. So I guess synchronicity and collaboration, we're going to have to do it somewhere, somehow, because we used to get 1.3 billion in 13 from industry. And next year, the new council and mayor will have to manage that with about 500 million. So all that cash we say we have is going to be gone. And we're going to have to start, I guess, utilizing some common areas. Like just in Tickwood, I guess we have, smaller facilities, yes. But we have the Eric Newell Center, we have the barns that, the Bob Barons, cabins that are extended. And I know they're not for art and big productions, but we're probably going to utilize those to do, maybe some additions or maybe some, but I get how convenient it is. But the fact is that we're just a regional council and we need the government at the table and even our MP, because, art is a way of life and a very vibrant art community we have. And you can see we have probably, 5, 6 organizations that are, drawing for that envelope. So I just want to make sure, this evening that we understood. Your ask is, space. And what space do we have available? What space can we leverage with industry? So, like you take the Casman Center, after hockey, I mean, there's probably 4 months that place could be home to something. So, I just hope that at the end of the day we have a resolve that we don't have, because I think it was just a little while ago that we took all the dance out of Mac Island and they brought it over to Keanu. I don't know if that's going to be affected now too, but I think that we need some consistency in the services that we have to grow our families, and if that takes some political will to get industry back and be good sponsorships, stewards, but we're going to have to use some facilities we got built to the north, to the south. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Dogar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, presenters. It's a very nice presentation and difficult questioning, answering. It was a more of presentation of Mr. McGrath that turned to be. Just my question is a very small one, that when the new facility that is on Manning, Franklin, new building, the old cinema, when it is going to be established, would it cover your space or storage problems or not?
Through Councillor Dogar, through the chair. So that would be Arts Inc. That is being constructed in the old cinema building. And no, it will not.
The second part is, are you covering the arts activity in Mac Island and also in Jubilee Center?
I think he's referring to the art gallery in Mac Island and the art at the Jubilee here.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for the question. I'm personally not a visual artist. So we don't have anything to do with the visual arts or the art gallery at Mac Island.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Dogar. And thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Jenny. We'll try to dust off some old studies maybe and some old reports. And I'll definitely kind of work with you and see what we can try to figure out in the community to help you out. So thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, we have the report and asset management system, policy OPE 030. I'd like to invite Laura Farquharson and Justin Canning and Michael Bell, Corporate Services, to present, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Lori Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer, and with me tonight is Justin Canning, Manager of Asset Management, and Michael Bell, Supervisor of Asset Management. Tonight we'll be presenting an update of the Asset Management Program.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Lori mentioned, my name is Justin Canning, I'm the Manager of Asset Management Insurance Services in GIS, and today I'm here with my supervisor, Michael Bell, Supervisor of Asset Management, not my supervisor, to provide an update on the progress made for the asset management team over the past few months. Thank you. In this presentation, we will cover an overview of the asset management system, key milestones achieved to date, our goals for 2025, the successes we've experienced, and the challenges we've encountered, along with identified solutions. The asset management system follows a hierarchical structure beginning with vision, mission, values, strategic priorities, and policies set by Council. These priorities are then translated into action through the overarching Strategic Asset Management Plan, or SAMP, which outlines organizational asset management objectives. The SAMP is approved by the Chief Administrative Officer, Senior Leadership Team, and the Steering Committee. Asset management plans are developed in alignment with the SAMP by the asset management team, detailing the asset management practices and activities specific to each service area. The Asset Management Working Group is a collaboration of subject matter experts from other departments within the organization and the asset management team. This slide highlights our key milestones to date. In March 2024, the asset management team was established. A secondment group comprised of subject matter experts from each service area was formed to develop the Master Asset Register. This task was completed and presented to Council in July of 2024. In August of 2024, the Asset Management team began reviewing policies and administrative procedures, starting with the Asset Management System Council Policy OPE 030, which is now before you for approval. Leadership engagement sessions took place from October to December 2024, involving each division responsible for managing assets. Once the council policy is approved, the Capital Project Steering Committee will be leveraged to provide strategic direction and decision-making for the asset management program. Michael will now take us through the 2025 goals, challenges, and successes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present this update. The slide on the screen outlines the main goals for the asset management team in 2025. The asset management plans will be reviewed and approved by the steering committee. We will collaborate with our IT partners to select a computerized maintenance management system, CMMS, establish the implementation framework, and assist with the deployment process. identify training requirements for each role within the asset management system and develop a corresponding training program. Continue the development of major asset condition assessment programs, including CCTV, pavement quality index, building life cycle, bridge inspections, and more. Our final goal is to pilot the implementation of one of the asset management plans in one branch while continuing to support data collection and verification efforts across the remaining branches. The asset management team has achieved several key accomplishments to date, including the establishment of a master asset register, which accounts for approximately $6 billion in municipally owned assets, providing a preliminary 10-year capital plan for the 2025 budget presentations, defining roles and responsibilities within the asset management program, reviewing and updating the asset management administrative procedures and council policy, and contributing to the evaluation of the CMMS to centralize asset data across the organization. Three major challenges encountered by the asset management team to date are outdated and incomplete asset data. Our plan includes the establishment of condition assessment programs for all branches that manage assets, supporting data collection and validation for existing infrastructure, and deploying a CMMS solution to centralize this asset data. Our second challenge has been accountability to the asset management system. We will engage with the steering committee to provide governance and leadership support to ensure asset management remains an organizational priority. The final challenge is resourcing and branch level support for the asset management program. The asset management team itself has been expanded to provide dedicated resources, and with the approval of the council policy before you tonight, subject matter experts from each department that manages assets will be assigned asset management champions to assist with the departmental initiatives. That concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Mike. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, through the chair. Appreciate the information. You may know I've been down this road with this topic before, but I guess my question is relative to, well, I got a couple. Steering committee, who's going to be comprised of that? Like, what's that going to be comprised of?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, what we're recommending is that we utilize the existing CPSE committee. The main stakeholders are already on that committee, and this would simplify and not create a separate committee.
Okay, yeah, I'm just thinking of our previous challenges with this project, and it just fell off the wagon. It never happened. Even our CAO of the day, I mean, this is many years ago, was saying, you know, this is what we're going to do, and we just never did it. So I do have a question about your 2025 plan. Your software selection, you're saying you want to select that this year. What's the current approved budget for doing that?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball. Approved budget is an outstanding, I think it's $800,000 from another project. We're proposing to go a different direction with a cheaper alternative. We have a presentation prepared for SLT for March 8th.
800K for, this is for the full asset management software package? For
through the chair to Councillor Ball, yes, it'll be a lot less than that. Our anticipation would be about $500,000 for full implementation.
I'll believe that when I see it, because I've seen much bigger numbers for that type of software. No, I was just curious if you had enough, because frankly, I don't think 800K will do it. It'll probably cost that much just to have the experts implement the process, but we'll see. All right, no, I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. Councillor Dogar.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving opportunity. Very nice presentations by the competent people. First, before my question, I just gave a comment on Jason's conversation 3 years back, when he said he can get better jobs outside this region, in salary wise, package wise, but I am here because of my roots here of my family and want to serve the community. Thank you very much. I get inspiration from your reply. Now, my question is, when this asset management team was established and what is the achievement so far? Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Dogar, thank you for the comment. We've achieved a lot of things that we just presented. The main objective initially when we had started was to understand what we have, where it is, and what it's worth, and what it requires to extend its useful life. And so we're kind of working through that. Once we get a centralized data management system or a computerized maintenance management system, where every, I guess, resource delivery department or service delivery department is able to capture that information. We're able to rely on one single source of truth. Right now, we struggle because we have 8 or 9 different systems, and none of them are used effectively. So we'll be able to refine that data, but for right now, that master asset register is a big accomplishment, as well as reviewing of the policy that we've revised it and aligned the documentation and the definitions with all the other corporate language that we have out there. And some other achievements have been the recruitment of our staff. So we're building out our asset management team. We filled 2 vacancies for the coordinator, and we're in the process of filling some vacancies for the asset management advisor. And then we've worked through all of our procedures, but we need to kind of comb them through and get them approved by the CPST or the steering committee.
Councillor Dogar?
Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, I did it by mistake.
Okay. Councillor Boussier?
Mayor Bowman, through the chair to Justin and presenters. I know there's been a number or two thrown around there, but what is once, like even bring in flood mitigation and rural water sewer completion, do we have any idea what number it's going to take every year to sustain and maintain our assets? Have we got to that point yet?
Through the chair to Councillor Boussier, no, we haven't gotten to that point yet. We have some fancy calculations, but the accuracy is maybe plus or minus 30%. So once those projects are completed, we'll be able to evaluate the actual life cycle costs, but we also need our procedures approved for that and the way that we're going to tackle those calculations as well.
Okay, just one other question. Do we look outside of our organization for help when we're trying to put this plan together? Like, do we look to our industry partners for any kind of assistance, or, because this is new, I guess, this asset management. I mean, I think we've been
through the chair to Councillor Boussier. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
It's definitely not new. As Councillor Ball alluded to before, it's something that the region is trying to implement for probably about 10 years. I would say this would be safe to say the second or third attempt at it. One thing that failed in the past and was the resourcing was a big component, right? Trying to give it to somebody off the side of their desk is a challenge. I'm actually a board member for PMAC, which is an Asset Management Association for Canada. So I have connections across Canada, and we've been feeding off different organizations and different municipalities and cities across Canada for not just support, but also for mentorship and for development as well.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor Boussier. Councillor Banjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you for the presentation. I don't know if this question might be a bit too soon, but I just want to know if we have plans to manage infrastructure, or if I want to know how good a position we are with our water infrastructure, given what happened to Calgary, and I've been waiting to know our situation here. How close are we the infrastructure to the end of life cycle, and how prepared are we as a region to manage or prevent any similar situation in this region, especially given the remoteness of where we are, that might compound such challenges should it happen.
Through the chair to Councillor Banjoko, thank you for the question. My background is in environmental services, so I can try and answer that, and Antoine can jump in. But there is a regional CCTV program that you're probably well aware of that will give us a very good idea of the condition of our underground wastewater systems. That way we can actually build out what the projection and what the plans are for beyond the next 3 years, what that looks like for our aging infrastructure. Wastewater infrastructure, particularly I think under Mac Island, is probably the oldest infrastructure we have in some parts of downtown. For water infrastructure, I would have to rely on Antoine's answer for that, but there are some predictive maintenance things that you can employ out there, and I know his underground services team has been investigating some of those to calculate and detect line losses so that you don't get to a catastrophic failure event. I don't know if Antoine would like to speak a little more to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the chair to Councillor Banjoko, the situation in Calgary is a little bit different than the one we have here because of the type of pipe they had. It was concrete with like metal inside the concrete, then over time became very weak, and that's why they had massive failure. So that doesn't mean that we wouldn't have the same failure, but we don't have the same type of pipe for most of our water transmission lines. But as Justin has mentioned, we are in the process of doing more. We're going to add some smart hydrants in town to measure the pressure and the leaks that we might have on our infrastructure. So we're in the process of starting this process. We're going to test it this year, and then we can expand on it as we go forward. But we have a different infrastructure than Calgary, for example. Mm-hmm. So the risk of us having the same size of a catastrophe is a lot lower.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Banjoko. Councillor McGrath? Did we lose him? Does any member of the council have any questions? I think he's gone. Okay, thank you, Laurie. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Mike. Oh, he might be back on. Just 1 second. Councillor McGrath? No, he's gone again. He must be having a bad connection. Okay, thank you. Do we have any delegates for this item?
We have no registered delegates for this item. Thank you.
Can I have someone make the motion? Councillor Walkwin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the Asset Management System Policy OPE-030 dated February 11th, 2025, as outlined on Attachment 1 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Walkwin. Thanks for the second, Councillor Boussier. Are there any debate, discussion, or comments from council? I'm not seeing any, so I'll call for a vote. In favor online?
In favor.
Thank you. Am I missing anyone? Councillor McGrath?
I was just wondering when you called for one quick. Could I just have one question?
Yeah, we can probably do the vote here, and then you could ask a question. We're just right in the middle of this, Councillor McGrath, but I think we have time right afterwards if you had one question. And how would you vote, Councillor McGrath?
Oh, I'm fortified, yeah.
Thank you. And that's carried unanimously, everyone. Go ahead, Councillor McGrath.
I just wondered through the chair, to the presenters, would the main brain of the institution right now, would that be the SAP system predominantly that takes care of your input right now?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath. That's correct. So our enterprise resource management system would be SAP.
Yeah, and when you say like there's there's some data that's obviously that needs to be caught up to date and stuff, would the next leg of this be a lap between what's going to be available to us in say 26 to 29, and then all of a sudden AI takes everything over?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath. There are ways to connect our proposed solution to SAP, so SAP would still hold the financial data that it has today. It's through an API feature, and I don't believe that AI would be something that would take over. I think that would complement the system. So as they do updates to the software, because it's been around and tested for so long, any sort of smart solution for early detection of problems or whatever the case may be, like his smart hydrants that Antoine was talking about, AI would just complement that. CMMS is all.
So like, just, I guess for, just for mine's sake, we'll just take like our newest building, would be across the bridge, the operations building and stuff, and soon to be open. When that, through the construction, when the new furnace went in there, whatever the case, where would that be tracked? And that would, when do you start your building life cycle? Would it be the day you commission or the day you move in?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath. So if you're talking about operating or warranty, they're different, but we would capture it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm not talking, I never mentioned warranty. So we're talking about tracking assets and the exposure and liabilities that the municipality have. So I would take on our older buildings, I'm just wondering how to process, like, just to take a brand new building as it sits today. Where do we start so that you add on to the capital budget? Because I didn't see a whole lot this year into refurbish into our 2025 capital budget. And I don't know if that's because we're waiting to get a true life cycle. Because as you said, mentioned before, that, there's bridges and buildings and the like.
So through the chair to Councillor McGrath, thank you for the clarification. I didn't really, so when we take over a building, there's a transition that happens, and a part of that transition when we take over something from capital to operating is a data template and the information that's being housed and what's being employed in that facility. So there's operations and maintenance manuals, there's all kinds of different things. We would capture the data, assign it an asset ID from our building lifecycle and facilities management perspective, and then we would actually maintain that asset. With respect to finances for operating, that would be something I'd have to refer to the operating department, so to Deanne's or facilities department for.
Yeah. But it would augment, the total cost. Like, as far as assets, like you go to our condo corp where our city hall building is today, so we're doing all the improvements inside, but the main infrastructure that's shared with the government, that'll be due in time too, I guess.
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, that's correct. So that would be a part of the building life cycle program, and asset management kind of ties all of that together. Yeah. And then the CMMS that we talked about would connect that. So the asset ID for a furnace was your example. That would be tracked in a single database. Right now, there's a different type of software that's being used for every different service delivery department. So it's hard to capture that. The payment is being tracked in SAP, but the actual functional work that's being done is being tracked in a different system.
Is in a different work order. No, I appreciate that. Certainly nice to hear that, because it was almost like, we were well apprised, but it's good that, this is coming about, because it's certainly going to I guess, prioritize some of our bills that we got coming to catch up, as you mentioned. So appreciate what you're doing. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. So next up, we have the capital budget amendments. So I'd like to invite Laura Ferguson to remain seated to present the report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Laurie Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer. Administration has identified one capital project amendment to be submitted for Council consideration. Council is the approving authority for the capital budget, subject to the provisions of the Fiscal Responsibility Policy FIN 160. This capital budget amendment will result in a $300,000 increase to the 2025 and prior capital budget as outlined in the budget net change summary. This amendment is for the next generation 911 call handling system, which is a federally mandated to improve emergency service communications. Negotiations from a public procurement were unsuccessful. Due to the urgent necessity to find a qualified business partner for this initiative, an experienced alternative solution provider was identified. To proceed with the contract award, additional funding is required. Administration is recommending that the 2025 capital budget amendment as summarized on Attachment 1, 2025 capital budget amendments, cancellation and amendment net impact dated February 11th, 2025 be approved, and that the revised cash flow of capital projects as summarized on Attachment 2, 2025 capital budget amendments, cancellation and amendment, cash flow summary dated February 11th also be approved. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Laurie. Councilor Ball.
Thank you through the chair. Thanks for this information, Laurie. I'm just trying to sort through the numbers a little bit here and trying to understand, I guess, what phase we're at within this project, because I see that we've got looks like $426,000 in commitments. I don't know if those are actuals or if those are just the commitments. What are they?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, if you could just give me a moment, please. Through the chair to Councillor Ball, I'm not as familiar with all of the history on this one, but my assumption would be that we had an original contract that we were negotiating, and we had a budget for the initiative, and they committed what they believed was going to be the value at that time. There was a significant timeline that lapsed with negotiations with the original proponent that we were going to be going with. Those negotiations fell to the wayside when it was determined that that service provider could not deliver what was actually required to be compliant with the 911 requirements. We then stopped the negotiations, proceeded with a different approach, and once we got to the point of developing a contract, determined that there was no funds available. We did not enter into the contract, so my assumption is this was a carryover from the initial negotiations, but I can confirm that.
So it would be an assumption that we have $0 spent to date.
That's correct.
And the ultimate, so then this is incorrect, I guess. Then the commitment should read 0 is my assumption, because it says we only have 23,000 available. And then we're going to add another 300K. So my assumption was that we spent 426 already to date. So we have not done that.
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, that's correct. There's been no funds expended on this at this time.
Okay. So, and this all began in what, 2020? Is that right? My question is, what's taking so long?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, because this was public procurement, I'd rather not get into all of the details. My understanding is...
Okay, let me ask this. When did we procure it? What year? Was it 2020 or was it 2023 or 4? What year?
I believe it was 2020, late 2023. or early 2024. I would have to loop back to the project manager on that one. But
Okay, so it's sat on the books for 3 years before we did anything then. Because it was approved in 2020, so I'm just trying to understand why the cost increase, and it's starting to make sense because we sat on it for, sounds like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Ball, I will have to get back to you on the history on this one.
I'm not trying to be against it. I certainly support anything 911 related, very important, but just trying to understand the timeline of how we got to where we are. So are we now single sourcing someone, or are we going back out to public?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, we do not have enough time to single source. This was supposed to have been completed and implemented by March of 2025. The federal government has extended that to, I believe, spring of 2026.
Well, I would assume single sourcing is you've picked a proponent to work with. That's what I mean by single sourcing. I don't mean going back out to market.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Ball, yes, we were forced to single source it.
Okay, well, that's what I asked. All right, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. Lori, is this related to the return of RES or 911 dispatch to our RES staff?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, I believe those are two separate initiatives.
Okay, so this here has nothing to do with us returning 911 dispatch to our...
No.
Okay. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, I think Ken exposed the first one. So you ran out of time, and you went to I guess a proponent that was advised or that came to you and presented, or how was that taken?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, we had a successful proponent. We started building out a plan and negotiating. As time went on, we discovered that proponent had never delivered a system like this and that they were not capable of delivering the system. And as such, we had to stop where we were at and ensure that we could get this work done. And we went to an experienced service provider that had done this type of thing with other jurisdictions.
Is that a local company? Because I would imagine that before a company was able to bid with the city, they would have to pre-qual, and we'd have those issues kind of sorted out before the package. But is the local company that got awarded?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, I'm not sure who the company is. I don't have that information in front of me.
And just through the chair, I guess as an elected official, did I hear right that the federal government put a mandate on you to have this up and running? And that's something that is there some federal monies that come along with the instruction?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, we have $300,000 in provincial grants. At this point in time, I'm not aware of a federal grant.
So in the absence of a federal grant, the only thing we got from the federals, and I don't know if because as a councillor, it's the first I heard of it. So I don't know if our MP Layla is an advocate on our behalf. But I suggest that if the federal government's making us do something, like they have with the dike, an extra meter of dirt, I think that they should have some skin in the game as they're directing us, and it costs us, as you pointed out, more money. So, I guess through the chair, through administration, whether it be the CAO, has anybody actioned that item to talk to Layla, our MP, or anybody talk to anybody from the feds that have actually instructed us to have this done?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, I don't know specifics at this point, but I know that Jody has been working with the province on this project for a long time, and I expect that there has been ongoing discussions with the province and the feds on this. But we have definitely not contacted our local MLAs or our local MP on this. Thank you.
Okay. So the work tonight, I guess that's before us, is you got an extension, and when, so if we never done it in the Fed's timeline, and what we have today is working, what's the urgency?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, I do not have a PM or a sponsor for this here with me, so I do apologize for not having all the information. My understanding is that it is a legislative requirement of the federal government that we need to implement this next Gen 911 by the spring of 2026.
Okay.
2026.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Dogar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the nice presentation, speaks of your competency, Laurie. My question is, just 2 months back, we approved the budget, annual budget. So what is the so hurry, or what was the delay, that made us present something new?
Through the chair to Councillor Dogar, at the time that the budget for 2025 was developed, we were not aware that this particular initiative was going to cost us more funding. We made the decision through administration last year, I don't recall the timeline, that we were going to have to pivot to take a new approach, consultation with an approved supplier that was experienced with this type of system, was then engaged. Conversations have been happening, which I'm afraid I have not been a party to. And once we got to the point of awarding a contract, it was determined that we didn't have sufficient budget at that time. Otherwise, we certainly would have included this in the 2025 budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dogar. Councilor Ball.
Thank you, through the chair. Just clarity, did you say it had to be implemented by 2026, the spring of?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, that is my understanding. It was supposed to be the spring of 2025, March of 2025.
And that's been extended, yeah. Okay.
That is my understanding.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like there's a lot of urgency to this, and it seems like there might be some questions relative to, is there other funding avenues that we could use to assist us in this versus us doling out all the cash all the time, as pointed out by Councillor McGrath. Is there a potential that this could be shelved and maybe we could look at, other avenues for a couple of months and then maybe bring it back to us to see if there was any success from the feds or whoever else to assist us in this?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, it's my understanding from RES that this is absolutely critical. It is going to take the better part of a year to get this system developed and implemented. My understanding is that there is a sense of urgency. We have received some grant funding. I can certainly work with my grant administrator to identify whether or not there are additional grants, but based on the information that I was given, this is a sense of urgency.
Okay, and that was from the PMs who aren't there today. Is Jody there? I don't know.
Unfortunately, Chief Butts is not in council this evening.
Okay. Probably would have been good to have him here today, but
I'm
fine with that. I'm just trying to understand where we're at with this project, because there's very little information on this report. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. Councillor Banjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thank you, CFO, for the report. My question and concern is still about the urgency of this, and some of the questions, or most of the questions that we would like answers to, we don't have the PMO or the procurement person, so I'm wondering if we can get some more information. This is urgent or critical, but I wouldn't say this is like something that just happened, like a break-in or work fund on a site. So I think if we can get more information, I think that might be better if we all agree, because this calling it, or it might be urgent, but I think the fact that it's urgent would have also made it more expedient for the PMO and the procurement or other parties that could clarify some of the points. If you
Through the chair to Councillor Benjoko, just to clarify, the PMO is not involved in the delivery of this. This would be the IT team that would have the project manager involved, and then RES has been heavily involved in this. I'm just presenting as CFO. Having said that, I am happy to follow up with answers in writing tomorrow and provide that to council. And at council's will, I can certainly bring this back in 2 weeks.
I make a suggestion. Maybe we can take a 5-minute recess, and we could contact the chief and ask him for some clarity.
Apart from the chief, from the chair to the chair, the issue of the committed funds and available funds and extra funds, it's not very clear to me how this is being done in terms of the procurement process. So there's committed fund, is this order gone out, and then there's 300,000 more to be spent, and it's just not very clear as to how this process has been done and where we are with the purchasing itself, or the contract itself. So and if this was just something that happened and it's got to be fixed right now, and the duration, I think most of the answers is the CFO doesn't have most of the critical answers that could inform an urgent decision. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Bajoko. So if it's the will of council, we can bring it back in 2 weeks to have those questions answered.
That would be great. That would be great.
I can certainly try
Councillor
through the
Weigel?
chair.
Sorry, through the mayor. What are the consequences here? I guess the question to Director Farquharson. What's the consequences here? Like, if this is being mandated by the federal government, if we delay on this, what are the consequences?
Through the chair to Councillor Weigel, I would have to speak with Chief Butts to clarify that.
This is obviously a super important thing. It's our 911 distributor. And so we definitely don't want to be delaying this just because we haven't done our homework. I think it's important that we know when we come to this educated. So yeah, if we can contact Chief Butts and then get back on the agenda right away. We don't want to, I don't think this is something we want to be playing with.
Through the chair to Council Weigel, I'm happy to bring it back on February 28th and answer all the questions.
And do you think that'll be enough time to adequately?
We're going to get Chief Butts online.
Okay.
If we can.
That would be ideal.
Agreed.
Do we want to take 5 minutes while we get
we'll take a 5-minute recess while we get Chief Butts available online. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome Chief Butts. Councillor Ball.
Yes, I guess I'm up. I don't see Chief Butts there, so.
Chief Butts, you online there?
Is he? Is he online or?
Just 1 second, Councillor Ball. He's showing his online. Just not sure. Maybe he's on mute.
Yeah, it looks like he's on mute, but I don't see him.
Chief Butts, you online there? There you are.
I'm here now.
Perfect.
Oh, there we are.
Go ahead, Councillor Ball.
Good evening, sir. I guess there's just some clarity issues. I certainly don't want to put any delays in getting this issue resolved. Obviously, 911 is very important to this community. But we had a few questions about, I guess, the finance and how things have been set up relative to this project. And, you know, certainly not our CFO's responsibility to know the details relative to the status of the project. I guess that kind of falls in your area. Where are we at and how urgent is this, I guess, is what I'd like to know.
Yeah, great. Sorry for that, to all council, but appreciate the question. Directly to Councillor Ball's question, the urgency is of dire need at the moment. It's been, and I'll give you some context to it, this project has probably been 4+ years in the making. It is a CRTC regulation that we have our next gen 911 call handling system upgraded to this. It's more an advanced technology. You know, not the details, but it's just we are able to take call handling in multiple different ways, and that's where we're trying to get to. So, some of the reasons for the delays. Why is it 4 years? Yeah, we had an agreement or a deal made with Motorola server that was going to be cloud-based. Unfortunately, they were unable to deliver on that. That delayed that procurement. And we are now have another vendor, and it's on premises. So there's a bit of increased cost to added servers, but it is in community, like it is on premises here. So it is in community. And I think that the final thing I'll say is that we do receive 911 grant funding, and this, from a financial piece, this funding this project is funded by that 911 grant.
Right, but it's not fully funded, correct?
Not fully funded, no.
All right, so unfortunately, none of that information is in the report here about the urgencies to this. So that makes it difficult to make a decision without it being in the report. But now that it's on the table, that's great to know. I mean, I certainly support anything related to 911 and don't want to delay anything, and can appreciate CFO Farquharson's answers, but she certainly didn't have the information that you have. So would have been nice if we had that off the get-go, but appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Do we have any other questions from Council for Administration? I'm not seeing any, but I think after your report, sorry, Councillor Benjoko, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Any clarification on the contract process, where we at? Has this been awarded, and even at that, because I thank you, Fire Chief Jody Bose. We know this is critical. Is the urgency that we question, or the rush? They are leaving it to become almost like we don't have a choice tonight kind of thing. So where are we with the procurement process? and what for the scope, you said we almost need to the end of the year. That doesn't really give much as to the time that is required. So because those are the factors that would be factored into whether, the urgency of this. Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Banjoko, I do have a response back to Councillor Ball's original question, so if you don't mind, I'll add that because it does somewhat weigh into your question. The commitment of $426,000 was what they anticipated that they required in order to enter into a contract. That contract did not occur. This project has been on the books for many years. Part of the challenge has been it's brand new technology. We're also requiring different suppliers to be involved. So I do have a very lengthy inter-office memo that I can reference here, but I'm not sure just how much I can disclose publicly. But I can say that because it's new technology and there are intricacies with other suppliers that we need to ensure that, say the public could send in a text message, they can send in a video, and this can be used through the Next Generation 911 platform to help first responders to get immediate information. So it's all brand new. Very few have actually implemented it. The federal government mandated it back in 2021. The goalpost keeps getting moved because of the extreme complexities. Some have successfully implemented it now, as I understand. As far as the procurement, to answer your question, we cannot enter into this contract until we have sufficient funding. We know we need $750,000 to proceed. Without this budget request, there is no contract. So we are at Council's mercy for next steps.
Okay, thank you. And then what is the length of time that the contractor would need to implement or to execute the contract? Do you know?
Through the chair to Councillor Banjoko, I do not have the contract terms in front of me. My understanding is it's going to take at least a year. Usually with a project of this magnitude, it's going to take extensive lead time. Even something simple can be 18 months, what we would think is simple. And this is very complex, which is why there's so much concern about trying to get this moving along.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bajoko. Councillor Ball?
I just have one more question. Thank you for that information. That's very helpful. I'm just wondering if there's one other alternative. Well, in the background, while we're building this thing, is it possible for you to look at other revenue sources to help offset the cost? I mean, we'll either get them or we won't, right? I'm sure you've got plenty of competent staff that could look for additional grants or so on and so forth.
Through the
while
chair
we're doing the work.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Ball, I have one grant administrator, and I will certainly lean into the her and her supervisor to have a conversation to see if there's anything else available. But I do know that Chief Butts and his team have also been seeking grants as well.
Awesome, great, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ball.
If I may, Mayor,
Go ahead,
just to answer Councillor Ball's question. Thank you for that. The 911 grant fund is a continual fund. Everyone's cell phone bill has a few cents there on it. That is what we receive. So we receive quarterly payments. So yeah, we might not be able to pay the full bill now, but we will eventually.
Thanks, Chief. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. I think you answered the question, Director, but just want to confirm. So this technology that's being implemented all the way across Canada, that's why it's mandated, because they're trying to get everybody on the same page. We've been at it for 4 years trying to get somebody up here to do this. We've realized that when we put it out that the money wasn't sufficient. So you need extra money to be able to even go to market to even actually get somebody to come in and do that. And that's why the rush is now, because with the $750,000, then you can go to market, procure somebody and get it done.
Through the chair to Councillor Weigel, no, we will not be going to market. We have engaged with an experienced service provider that has successfully implemented this in other areas within Canada. So we will be doing a single source contract with this service provider once we have confirmed funding to do so. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Councillor Weigel, Councillor McGrath. Councillor McGrath? Is that... Oh, sorry, Councillor Dogar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't see you. My camera is not working. Can your staff help me, please?
I can get them to message you. Sure, thanks.
Do you see me?
No,
see me?
we cannot see you, no.
My camera is on. I don't know. I don't see you also. Somebody of your staff can help me, please. Thank you.
Sure, I'll get somebody to message you. Do you have any questions for administration? Can I have someone make that motion? Oh, sorry, Councillor Weigel.
Nope, I'm just gonna make the motion.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I move that the 2025 capital budget amendment as summarized on attachment 1, 2025 capital budget amendment, project amendment, net impact dated February 11th, 2025 be approved, and that the revised cash flow of capital projects as summarized on attachment 2, 2025 capital budget amendment, project amendment, cash flow summary dated February 11th, 2025 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel. Thanks for a second, Councillor Ball. Do we have any other discussion, debate, or questions from council? Councillor Dover, I think your lights are just off. There you are. Yep. Thanks, Chief Butts, for coming in, and thanks, Laura, for the presentation. I definitely support this, and I hope we look for other grant funding, which I know your staff probably already does, as well as thank Chief Butts for what he's doing, and we'll thank all the RES for showing up tonight. I'm not sure if they're here for this or just here to show up for support, but thanks everybody for coming in. I definitely supporting this. Any other questions, comments, or debate points from council? Councillor Dogar, do you have anything? Or, there you go. So I'll call for a vote.
No, sir, thank you.
In favor online?
In favor. In favor.
Who are we missing?
I vote against.
Thank you. Councillor Lively, are you in favor or against?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And that's carried with one against. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lori. Next, we move on to Wood Buffalo Economic Development Corporation appointment of chair. I'd like to invite Patrick White from Legal Services to introduce the report, please. Whenever you're ready, Patrick.
Okay, good evening, Council. The Articles of Corporation of the Wood Buffalo Economic Development Corporation require that the municipality, as represented by the mayor and the CAO, sign a special resolution in order to appoint a chair. The Board of Directors have unanimously asked that Terrence Cooper be named as chair, and therefore the recommendation that administration has in front of you would direct the mayor and the CEO to appoint Mr. Cooper as chair. That's my presentation, and I welcome all your questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Do you have any questions for administration? Councillor Boussier?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Through the chair to Patrick. Was that the same scenario with Suretsky when the inaugural board, when they?
through the chair to Councillor Bussier, I'm not sure. However, all of the articles have changed at this point, so it requires a special resolution of the members. That is section or Article 6.1 sub D, and that's how we have to appoint the chair at this point.
Okay, and the articles were just changed since the expiration of the last board?
Through the chair to Councillor Bussier, they were changed on April 9th, 2024, and then includes that new part.
It was what, sorry, Patrick?
On April 9th, 2024. So when this council then removed the previous board, correct a new board, and new articles were drawn up, this article 6.1 sub D includes the section where members must by special resolution appoint a chair. That the board themselves cannot do it.
They can select the chair, but any final decision making will always come back to the RM and council?
Through the chair, Councillor Boucher, that is correct. They can recommend someone, but it must be a special resolution by the municipality and the CAO.
Okay, just further question that. Were there any other articles that were amended from the original back in 2017 or 18 besides this one?
Through the chair to Councillor Bussier, I don't have the answer to that right now, but
okay.
I can get back to you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bussier. Do you have any other questions from council? Councillor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. That's awesome. Uh-oh. That's awesome. Icebreaker. Mm-hmm. Okay, I just wanted to revert. Okay, when Mayor is done. No worries. Okay, thank you. So just to reconfirm, there are no budget or financial considerations.
Through the chair to Councillor Van Jongo, no, there were no financial considerations in this matter.
Thank you, and this is great that someone of that at that level would do this for the community. It's appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Benjoko. Do you have any questions from administration? Councillor Bussier.
Thanks, Mayor. Through the chair, Pat. What was the rationalization for this? Do we know? For the change?
I can answer that. I think it's because we appointed the chair for the new, when we put the new people in, but Councillor McGrath, Councillor Weigel as the chair and vice chair, we did that. I think that's where it got changed. I think that's how we did it, because we changed that. That's how we. I think so.
No, now I'm confused. I was just asked, what I meant to ask was the rationalization for it to come back to this, to council or the RM. Does that mean we're going to ask Mac Island, another Part 9, to bring their chair?
I think it's only
ECDEV.
That ECDEV one.
Okay, so I guess I'm just looking, is there a reason we're only having ECDEV do it and not other Part 9s or Mac Island or RRC? If there isn't a reason, that's fine. I'm just wondering why we're picking on ECDEV.
Through the chair to Councillor Bussier, sorry.
It's all right.
I know you're both talking about this. I don't know the answer to that, but that this is the current articles of corporation, and I believe it was done in order so that council could appoint a chair and to ensure that the board that was constituted at the time could not appoint their own chair. It took the power away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bussier. Councillor McGrath.
Just thank you, first of all, to Mr. Cooper. As everybody knows, he was a real gentleman, true to fire. and still is today, and been a member of the community. I think we're honored to have him as a chair, and along with Melanie Antoine. But I guess, I just want to be clear. I don't remember changing the articles because, of course, it's an independent body. So I'm kind of lost this evening why it would come before council, because it never did before. Because if it did, Skronsky wouldn't have been there in the first place. But I believe that we have a great look ahead with Mr. Cooper. I kind of troublesome because I believe we never made no motion of council that we pick the next year. We'd actually fill in for the summer and work with the staff. I think we've done that, and with your support. But I don't want to go on about how the process happened, but I don't want people to think that, it wasn't I or we that I don't remember. So the articles that are ahead of you, I don't think they were voted on at a board meeting or anything like that. And just to make sure that Mr. Cooper knows that, him and his board going to have support of mayor and council, and certainly not there to, how should you say, watch their every move, because I think they've assembled a lot of talent, a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. And we've certainly went to the northern hamlets that we never went to in 5 years, and we're carrying on to do that down south. And I think we're in good shape. So I don't want the board to think that they certainly are going to be bird dogged, because we want to get off on the right foot. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Do we have any other questions from council? I'm not seeing it, so thank you, Patrick. Have someone make the motion? Councilor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that the mayor be directed to exercise the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo's membership rights in the Wood Buffalo Economic Development Corporation and execute a written special resolution of the member appointing Terry Cooper as the chair of the board of directors.
Thank you, Councilor Bujoko, and thank you for the second, Councilor Weigel. Do we have any discussion, debate points, or comments before we vote? Councilor Dogar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I take opportunity to thank or appreciate Mr. Cooper congratulate him for his appointment. I have seen him taking keen interest physically in the economic development. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Any other councilor have any comments, suggestions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilor Bujoko.
Oh, I just want to echo the comment by Councilor Dogar to appreciate Mr. Cooper. He was here to see us, and certainly I think he's going to be a good choice, and totally support his candidacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bujoko. And I don't see any other councilors there, so we'll call for a vote. And in favor online?
In favor. Favor.
And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. And that is the end of this evening meeting. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Marcy Cho, Kinnamus Compton. Have a good evening. Thanks, everyone.